More steam to blow off me?
The college football playoffs. They are officially set.
Yeah.
We have our bracket. Now, before we dive into the deep discussion, let's just
Mhm,
go through what this is. Here are the final rankings here, and I'm gonna talk about
mhm.
these rankings in a bit. Trust me.
Okay. Okay.
Oregon 1, obviously, Georgia 2, Texas 3, Penn State 4, Notre Dame 5,
Right.
Ohio
Right.
State 6, Tennessee 7, Indiana 8, Boise 9, LSU 10, Alabama 11. Number
Congratulations.
12 is Arizona State.
Congratulations, SMU, for making the top 10. And I say that with no malice and no pettiness. For those who don't know, because you actually not only do you know college football, you know your college football history pretty well too. SMU, they suffered the death penalty almost 40 years ago, and it was supposed to take them maybe 10 to 15 years to get to this point, but it took them almost 40. They have not even sniffed the top 10 until this year. And so for them to finish a college football season in the top 10, they haven't done that since Eric Dickerson was running in the backfield with them. And we're talking then 1982. So they haven't been in the top 10 in over 40 years. So congratulations to Southern Methodist for making it back there.
Yeah. As you see, Clemson is down at 16.
Hmm.
This is how the brackets went. Oregon, Georgia, Boise State, and Arizona State, they get buys into the quarterfinals. Texas, Penn State,
Hmm.
Notre Dame, and Ohio State are hosting first round games.
Right.
Hosting against Clemson,
Hmm.
SMU,
Hmm.
Indiana, and Tennessee.
Right.
Give you a better view. This is what it looks like right here. First order of business for me. You see this on the right side. You see these CLP rankings. Do away with that.
Right.
Do away with it.
Right.
Next year, I don't want to hear anything about the college football playoff committee doing rankings. Only thing I want y'all to do is what is on the right side. Let me
Well,
know who has these 12 spots in
well,
your
I'll
ranking.
I'll say it this way. For those of you who they need another understanding as to what that is. Yes, in terms of the playoff, the side on the left doesn't matter. That matters only for ads and for college campuses and for athletic directors and and the deans. That basically says, yeah, our season was really good because a program like Texas, we finished number 3 for the season.
But you seated fifth.
Correct. But we finished number 3 for the season. We had a wonderful season.
No first round bye.
Woosah.
Hey,
But that's what. But that's what.
Clemson is ranked
And, no,
16.
no,
They're
no.
the
I know.
ACC champion.
Clemson's ranked 16th. They're ranked 12th. They came in 16th in the CFP final CFP. Right. I understand it, but that's basically what that is. That's for ads and deans to say,
Boise State
yeah, our
got
program is good.
five.
And I mean, because look, you got Ole Miss, you got Miami. They just swung and missed. Oh, you got Alabama, who they're ranked number 11. But how dare they be ranked number 11 and not even be in the playoff? Don't lose 24-3 to Oklahoma.
Yeah. SMU's in. Alabama's out. See, here's the thing. For I want every matter of fact, let me take this down. I want everybody to see me. All you people. And there's no bigger SEC guy than me right here. You don't believe me? Ask that guy right there.
That is correct.
I don't want to hear anybody talk about SMU would have been this and that in the SEC. This team would have been this and that in the SEC.
And
How many games Alabama lost?
one, no. 2, no, 3.
They lost 3. Of those 3 losses, how many of them are respectable?
1. That would be the L they took in Knoxville. Because the other 2 L's, the one in Nashville against Vanderbilt and the one in Norman against Oklahoma, both of them were unranked teams. Oh, when the Oklahoma one, they didn't even manage to score a touchdown in that game.
I want y'all to look at me. The committee did the right thing. You know why? Because if you're going to put emphasis on conference championships,
Which you
you
should.
do not punish SMU for playing in a conference championship game. When what was Ole Miss this weekend?
Ole Miss was at home.
What was South Carolina this weekend?
They were playing. No, Clem. That was last week. They were at home.
What was Miami?
Miami. See they. Well, they were in shut. No. They decided to screw the pooch in Syracuse. They were at home.
What was Alabama?
Alabama. They were at home. They
So,
probably traveled to Atlanta, but they had to travel to Atlanta to be spectators.
So, y'all want Alabama in because they are part of the SEC, which is the best conference in football.
It is.
But they couldn't play for the conference championship.
That's correct.
SMU did.
And not only did they play for a conference championship, they actually had a good showing in that same game.
So,
a really good showing in it.
So, do you want conference championships to matter, or do you want to do them away? Because those are your 2 options.
Good question.
If you want to be crowned champions of a conference, shut up. Alabama didn't play. SMU did.
Right.
If you want to do away with conference championships, fine. Then
Okay.
we can do the 12 best teams. But guess what? It's still going to be far. How you going to equally evaluate the 12 teams?
And how could you come out the side of your mouth and say, well, quote, well, I guess we have to reevaluate strength of schedule, close quote. No, you don't.
I'm glad you said that because I've been waiting on this. Come here, Alabama. You want to reevaluate non-conference game because you didn't make it? Accountability. You go to Kellen DeBoer. You go to that football team. He says, "You see what happens when you took your asses down to Norman, Oklahoma, and you failed to show up.
Got whooped. And
24-3.
And you should not have been whooped. A loss, fine. You should not have been whooped by Oklahoma. But your boys got whooped.
Now, Pine Fireball, who is the mouth of the South, he came out and said, hey, they got it wrong, this, that. But he did say, Alabama didn't look in the mirror. Because you did it to yourself.
Yeah. I'm sorry. 3 L's, and 2 of them are inexcusable L's. I mean, the Vanderbilt L.
A shootout.
It got trounced by the Oklahoma L because you only scored a field goal. But that Vanderbilt L is still embarrassing because you were feeling your oats because you came off of that wonderful victory at home against Georgia, and you felt, and I know you all were thinking within your gut, oh, we'll see Georgia again in Atlanta come December. I know that's what you all were thinking, but you all were thinking it's so bad and so tough that you just dismissed Vanderbilt to the point where you had one Mr. Nick Saban say, quote, the easiest game to play in the SEC is actually in Nashville where Vanderbilt plays. Close quote. He actually said that the week of the game where Alabama traveled to Nashville. And what happened? You trailed the whole way.
Now, before I continue on, ladies and gentlemen, the man of Snowman Multimedia is here to join us, Brian Snow.
What's up, man?
Afternoon, gentlemen. What's going on?
Afternoon, Mr. Snow. What's up?
Now, this loudmouth of the South right here talking about the path of least resistance. When Alabama didn't take a look in the mirror because they thought the path of least resistance was through Nashville, Tennessee, after they had a wonderful victory against Georgia, as my very dear friend Cole Johnson just said. There's one problem. Alabama got socked in the mouth.
They trailed the whole game. They did not hold a lead at any point in
And there
that
were-
contest.
And there
And
were
by
no
the way,
ties.
Me and Cole was on this show talking about that game too.
Oh, I know. I'm a fan of the show, and I'm a faithful subscriber and listener. And you guys hit the nail right on the head. Listen, Alabama, as you guys said, was feeling themselves, and I'm sorry I'm late. Alabama was feeling themselves after the wonderful victory against Georgia, which they almost choked away
In the second half, that's correct.
in the second half, up 30-7, and trailed for a few
34-33.
minutes, 34-33. You allowed Georgia, Alabama,
All the way back.
27 unanswered points before you woke up. And then you got put in a sleep hold by Vanderbilt and out. And then you go to Oklahoma, a team that's struggling in the SEC. And I know my partner, the playmaker, Darnell Solins, will love the reference I'm about to use, or references I'm about to use. In that game, you took a tombstone pile driver, a rock bottom, and a stone cold stunner and lost 24-3. 24-3. And people are raising hell about, why isn't Alabama in the playoff? Let's see. Vanderbilt is one reason. Let me see. Oklahoma is another reason.
Mhm.
How do you like that? Huh?
Actually, Oklahoma was the death knell.
Yeah, but
Oklahoma was it.
and I said that to people. I'm like, man, look, for those who are saying Alabama, they deserve to be in the playoff. Look,
No,
I'm
they
sorry. That 24-3 L they took in Norman, that pretty much was the nail in the coffin.
If you don't lose 24-3 to Oklahoma, we're not having this discussion.
We're not having this discussion.
And
We're
all
not having this conversation.
because Alabama is in the playoff,
Yeah,
and they're most likely
they're definitely in the SEC
playing for
championship.
the SEC. Thank you, Cole. You took the
Mhm.
exact thought out of my head. A, they're playing for the SEC championship, and B, they're holding a spot in the playoff. It just depends. I beg your pardon, on if they are hosting a first round game or if they are hosting a second round game. That is all. If they beat Oklahoma, we're not having this discussion
No.
at all. Period.
No.
You lose to Vanderbilt, you lose at 10, you go over the state of Tennessee.
Yeah.
The same way Colorado goes over the state of Kansas.
Mhm.
And then you take a stone cold stunner against Oklahoma. Really? And you wonder why you're not in the playoff?
So
Yes,
I'm gonna need my ACC people to shut up.
Please do.
Okay.
Oh.
We got 3 teams in.
Wait,
Okay.
wait,
We got
wait.
Georgia, we got Texas, and we got Tennessee.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm so
Shut
glad
up.
they played
And
that.
Jay Spivey said the same thing this
Oh,
morning on Snowman in the Morning. And Cole, I know you love talking to Jay just as we do.
Mhm. Very knowledgeable.
He said a statement that pretty much echoes what the playmaker just said. The worst football conference is the Atlantic Coast Conference, period.
Mhm.
And there is no denying that. I double dare y'all to I double dare you to deny that.
No, right now it's Clemson, and I hate to say it, it said SMU, wonderful season. Miami, great season. But to me, the ACC is Clemson, and then there's everybody else.
Yeah, that's it.
You know, I'm not gonna be petty right now.
No, and I'm not even being petty.
I'm not gonna be petty right now.
I'm not being petty. I mean, it's Clemson.
No,
and
I know
everybody
you
else.
being serious. I'm finna be petty. I'm not gonna.
But I am about to be petty in a second.
Oh, I'm going to join you.
Oh, I'm about to be petty in about. No, in fact, I'm about to be petty right now.
Go for it, brother.
Now for the State fan,
Because Cole knew exactly what I was gonna do.
for you clowns,
I was thinking about that too.
for you clowns to jump on what Jalen Ramsey said about, well, why is Georgia in the playoff, but they have a backup quarterback? You allow them in, but Florida State, Oh, they had an undefeated season last year, but you didn't let them in with the backup QB.
Do you know how many ways I can tear that apart?
You know how many ways I can tear that apart.
I know, and I'm gonna allow you all to tear it apart. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this avenue. So fine, okay. So let me get this straight. So Florida State last year, so they beat the number 1 and number 2 ranked team last year, like Georgia did this year. I mean, if we're going to compare apples to apples here, so that means Florida State. They played the number 1 team, number 1 ranked team, number 2 ranked team. They beat them both times. So that's what happened to Florida State last year as of this year, right? So 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 they actually the conference champions had buys, had secured buys last year, right? Is that what you're saying? Oh, then I totally must have forgotten.
You.
We're playing 2 different styles of playoffs here. Look, Florida State undefeated season. That's understandable. It sucked that you all had to sit on the outside looking in last year. I'm not saying that was. I'm not saying that was great. I'm not saying that was foul. I mean, it's just how it was. But you cannot compare that apple to this apple because it's a different brand of apple.
Okay.
Georgia earned a bye because that's how it was this year. Guess what would have happened last year if they instituted the same college football playoff? Your backup quarterback behind in Florida State would have had a bye.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't have that system. You had to deal with the 4 best teams, and that's that. That's just how it was. That's how it
goes.
Now, if you want to relax the grind, I'll take you back to 2008. You know when you didn't have to decide who was the 4 best teams, you had to decide who was the best 2.
Yes.
And Texas, they beat Oklahoma 45-35.
Mm-hmm.
Now they eventually lost to Texas Tech, and in Texas Tech, they went on to lose to Oklahoma.
Yep.
The 3 teams ended their season conference-wise 7-1. All 3 teams. No, sorry, 8-1. 8-1. All 3 teams 8-1.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma got to play in the conference championship. But Texas beat them head-to-head. You want an axe to grind? That's an axe to grind.
Yep.
Because we didn't even get a chance as Texas to play for a conference championship, let alone a national championship, and we beat the team to play for it, and we had the same record as they did to end the season before the conference championship round was played. And, of course, Oklahoma being Oklahoma, they screwed that up and got trounced. But you all at Florida State, why are you whining over this? Because your team is garbage now. I mean, look, it's to the point where you all have shown more fight when you had a University of Florida player put a flag on the Seminole in the middle of Doak Campbell Stadium than you had even before the conference championship game of last year.
Right.
And you all have the nerve to say to me, well, we got jobs, we got hoes. So you got jobs, you got hoes. Oh yeah, I remember. Oh yes, I remember the beloved governor of your state, Mr. Playmaker. He said that he was going to file a lawsuit against the NCAA.
Yep.
So tell me, Florida State. So tell me, Florida State fan, how is that lawsuit going?
He ain't even filed it.
If it's going, and you that was my next thought. If
he
it's going,
and that's where I was going. I'm like, you all are putting so much emphasis on something that does not matter, that even your governor of your state, who claims my son and my daughter do the chop, and we are big Florida State fans. Shut up. Please. It is a non-factor. And it goes back to what I said.
Exactly.
Your school does not matter anymore. It is Clemson and then everybody else in the ACC. That's why you tried to sue to get out of the conference. And the conference was like, no, you're staying in. That is
Yeah,
how
how did
insignificant
that-
you are.
Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, Florida State.
Yeah.
How did that go for you? Trying to sue to get out of the conference, you idiots.
Jalen Ramsey. I need you to focus more on getting the Dolphins in the playoffs than worrying about Florida State trying to make a playoffs.
Can he focus on actually staying on the field?
He's been real
Can he
too hefty
focus
this
on
year. That's
actually
why I said
playing
that.
good?
Relatively, can he focus on staying on the field?
Mm-hmm.
Cole broke down the two different systems. Last year, 4 teams got in. And refresh my memory. Who said that the injury of Jordan Travis is going to cost Florida State the opportunity?
That would be one Mr. Darnell.
That would be the playmaker,
Why did I say that? Because y'all didn't look like the same team.
right?
And they did not. You're correct.
And
So now
then-
let's bring in Georgia. Let's bring in Georgia since that's what Jalen Ramsey brought in, right?
yeah,
You mean the same
Those-
team
those-
that you mean the same team that
those
boat
you-
raced them?
Yeah, those of you who wasn't here when Cole Johnson had his get off moments. Carson Beck is the starting quarterback for Georgia.
That was
He
good
got
for him.
hurt just before halftime.
yep.
Cole Johnson, what happened in the second half?
Well, then you had Quentin Stockton come into play, and then the very first drive of that of the time that he got on the field, marched down the field like the Texas defense didn't exist.
Like it was
and scored
nothing.
a touch, like it's nothing, and scored a touchdown.
And by the way,
And the
Cole
team
Johnson-
rallied around him
Yep.
because of it.
and they got a hit. And Georgia has a history. I've been watching Georgia
They do.
football, and as y'all know, I have been a fan of Georgia football since 1980. Thank you, Herschel Walker, and thank you, Larry Munson. One thing that my wife said when she checked out part of the game with me, she said, "This kid is ready." And of course, she's talking about Gunnar Stockton because she watched that first drive
Yeah.
and echoed your words, Cole,
Mhm.
of how Georgia rallied around him, even without their leader in Carson Beck. And how
So-
they rallied
is
rallied around him as he marched them right down the field and socked your Longhorns in the stomach.
So
Your
on one
point about
hand,
Florida
one
State.
backup quarterback and that team didn't look good. On the other hand, backup quarterback comes in at halftime and the team
and the
plays
team
better.
actually looks
And the
much
team
better.
plays better.
And I mean the
That
whole
right
team.
there
The
kills your
defense
argument
even-
right there,
right.
Florida State.
The
Mhm.
defense even played better in that game the second
The
half.
defense was hyped. Listen,
Yeah.
Texas piled up 280 yards in the first 30 minutes.
That pissed me off.
Okay.
They managed 2 field goals. That pissed
And
me off.
only managed 6 points. If you're a team as powerful as Texas once was, and you
Mhm.
get 280 or even close to 300,
300 yards
in
and
the
a
first
half.
half,
Mhm.
you should have at least 4 touchdowns on the board and should be blowing this injured, beat up Georgia team out of the water.
Yes, Mr. Snow.
Can I get a witness in this congregation?
That
If
is
you
why
get
I am
300
pissed off
yards
at
in the
teams
first,
13
and you should be.
Mhm.
I watched that game. Hell, I was in the process of calling that game before my computer here decided to take a dump.
Now, here's the interesting thing because it is between Florida State and Georgia, correct?
Yeah.
So,
So
let's go
called, yeah.
back to last year. Let's go back to last year.
Mhm.
So when the things happened, Alabama gets in. Georgia, who was the reigning defending 2-time national champions, didn't make it because they lost to Alabama.
Right.
And some of
Right,
us
the
had a
SEC
problem
title
with
game.
that.
Yep.
Some of us had a problem with that. And Florida State didn't get in.
And I'm
But
the one
we
that-
understood Florida State's complaint. We understood it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
we
Other
also
team, they
knew,
didn't make it to the Final Four.
but we also
Absolutely we
knew how the committee was looking at it with the
Mhm.
14 playoffs.
See, because we 3 kings right here of college sports actually do something that we like to call what do you call it? Cole?
RCH research.
Research. What do I always say, gentlemen? Y'all heard me say it on Snowman in the Morning. You've heard me say it on the Brian Snow. What do I always say to these people? Do
You
your
must do your
what?
research. You must do your research.
You must.
So when the bowl game was announced, we're gonna
Yeah.
put Georgia versus Florida State in the Orange Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, number
One
5 versus
team
number 6.
said,
Right.
one team said, okay,
Yeah.
that's how y'all feel.
We're gonna
We're gonna show you.
We're gonna show
gonna
you
be-
we
we're gonna
belong
come
to
out
in
guns-
that playoff.
we're gonna come out guns a blazing,
Yeah,
and
we're gonna
that we thank you, Cole, for saying it for me. That we belong in that playoff. Because
The other team said, I don't even want to play.
I don't even want to do it. I don't want to do anything.
And decided to have most of their starters sit out.
I don't even want to play. I don't care.
We
You
talked about
got your
that
ass whooped down in Miami. Your home state, by the way.
63-3.
63-3.
They whooped your ass. It's like y'all was TCU all over again.
And
Mhm.
to me that shuts up the whole argument. I'm like,
And then let's go to what
you cared
happened
less
this
about what was gonna
season.
Mhm.
What was Georgia at the end of the season?
Georgia was
Playing
ranked
for the
number-
Southeastern
yeah,
Conference
playing for the SEC
Championship.
championship.
Where was Florida State?
Sitting
Well-
there
Oh, I
holding
know.
their ass.
2-10 season.
Well, no, but
I'll
see,
answer that. I'll answer that question. He said, "Where was Florida State?" I'll
Yeah.
answer that question, and I'm going to be totally petty at the same time because I know quite a few Florida State fans. They were sitting at home on their ass where they got knocked last year by Georgia.
But I love it though because where was Florida State? Well, they were licking their chops and they showed more fight in that scrum after Florida spanked them in Doak
Yep.
Campbell than they ever did in the fight they had playing in the Orange Bowl of last year and all throughout this year. They even traveled to Europe and took a butt whooping.
By Georgia Tech, a team they have owned since the miracle of 2016 in Atlanta.
And Florida State fans still has the nerve to say, well, you have a backup QB for Georgia that went through, and they went through for 2 losses. Meanwhile, we with 0 losses last year didn't even sniff the college football playoff. Stop with the
Please.
fake. Stop with the fake sour grapes. Come on, man. Stop.
So yes, I had to get that in there because but back to my Alabama fans. Shut up. You don't lose to Oklahoma. And the crazy thing is, I don't even know why we start talking about. I'm gonna have to reschedule non-conference. Your losses wasn't non-conference.
All of them were in the SEC.
Yep.
All of them was in the SEC.
All 3 were in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
You did not show up in Norman.
Yep.
Sure didn't.
You didn't show up in Norman, nor did you show up both times you visited Tennessee.
And both times.
We cannot.
And this is not the only time we saw a team go 0 for the state. Again, I mentioned Colorado.
Look, I'm gonna put it like this: us ACC fans, us the Southeastern Conference, that includes Cole Johnson because Texas is involved
Now
with
in
this
SEC. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We can't have it both ways.
Nope.
No, we
Either
can't.
you want to be called conference champion and have it mean something, or you do not.
Mm-hmm.
And the committee said we have to make sure conference championship weekend means something.
Oh,
It has to mean something.
that reminds me of another point.
Yes, sir.
So, and this is in the same vein. You got Ohio State fan saying, "Well, why in the heck is Penn State having a being higher ranked than we are? I mean, we beat them. Oh, you forgotten that you took an L in Eugene, and then Ryan Day decided to do what he normally does against Michigan.
Not show up.
Speaking of
Meanwhile, Penn State only had the 1 L in
Ohio
State, but it was just that 1 L. That's it.
I did those 2 games, Penn State and Ohio State from Happy Valley, and I'm playing the Penn State song now, and Ohio State and Michigan. What's the argument that we always made about James Franklin?
He can't
win the big game.
What happened to Ryan Day in Columbus against his big rival?
He just simply does not measure up against Michigan.
Period.
And he proved it once again.
Oh, Cole Johnson. What was that word that I told people to hold on to until we got to this point?
What was that word?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
What was that word? Oh, yes, accountability.
Exactly. Yes. Where's the accountability? Alabama, look at yourself in the mirror. We got to ask what that on Norman, Oklahoma. That sucks.
Yeah, that's the reason why you will eliminate
Ohio State fans, they more mad at Ryan Day than anybody. They didn't even mad at
Blue and Maize messed our season up again. Yeah. Yep. You got to do that.
Why are we playing? They're calling for Ryan Day's head.
They should. Why are we playing in the Big 12? Why are we playing in the Big Ten championship? You lost at home to Michigan.
You lost
a Wofford, Michigan team.
Wait. You lost at home to an unranked Michigan team.
You lost at home to Michigan and only scored
10
10
points.
points. A high flying, this is what I was told before I started our coverage on Saturday. That Saturday, a high flying Ohio State team that put up 31 against Oregon, but played yourself in the final 40 seconds. You were relieved to see Indiana and blow them out
Mm-hmm.
after being in a dogfight against Penn State in Happy Valley, and you
And the
should have
game which
lost.
Penn State gave to you because
Yep. You beat me. You were right there. You're right there with me. You should have lost that game.
Should have lost to Penn State for sure.
You should have lost to Penn State, but Penn State said, and James Franklin said, "Here, we don't want it."
Yeah, they gave you a gift.
James Franklin went James Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
against a top 10 ranked team and
he
not
went,
show up.
Cole, I love you for that. He went full James Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ryan Day went full Ryan Day against all the teams. All the teams in the world. Michigan.
An
all the teams in the world.
An unranked Michigan team in Columbus.
In Columbus.
Who can't pass the ball worth the damn?
If there was any year where you would say, well, Ryan Day should have a gift wrap W against Michigan, an unranked Wolverines team in Columbus would be the offering. Who can't pass it all?
Look at it. Me and Cole, we all talked about Army. You know what's coming against Army, and Tulane still couldn't stop it.
And it's not like you don't have tape. You can just simply go to the game they beat USC with. They could throw worth a darn in that game. 300 yards against them. I'm like, you know what they're gonna do.
I've seen it in high school ball all the time, especially back home in Chicago. There was a team I covered, Brother Rice High School, went up against Lincoln Way East. Okay, irresistible force versus immovable object. Brother Rice loved to attack through the air. Lincoln Way East attacked through the ground. There were 1,100 yards in that game, but Lincoln Way East squeaked out with the win by doing the most basic thing you can do: run the ball. You know how many yards Lincoln Way East had in that state playoff game? 512.
Yeah.
Brother Rice had 486, but most of that was through the air. And they nearly came all the way back and snatched that one. But if you have the ability to run the football, which Ohio State allowed Michigan to do
all game long,
for the last 4 games, what has Michigan done to destroy Ohio State's chances for a national championship?
Literally run them out of the playoffs.
They ran them out of the play. They ran them out of the playoffs the last 4 years.
4 years.
So
they ran them out of a number. They ran them out of a number 4 this
year. Yeah.
They ran Ohio State not only out of Lucas Oil Stadium and allowed Penn State to slip in. They ran Ohio State right into a first round upset against Tennessee. I'm calling it now.
Well, number 1 next year, committee, don't do no rankings.
None.
Just tell me who the 12 teams are and why they right there.
They shouldn't do it. They shouldn't do any rankings until November to me.
None.
No, they should do no rankings at all.
They should not do
it. They say who the 12 teams are and why they there. Because when you did the rankings, you have the 9th ranked team in your opinion having a first round bye.
I get it. No, I get what you're saying. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just know how college football operates.
Oh, I'm not.
We all do.
If the ADs, if all these chairmen, if all these councils want to make college football better, tell the committee. Just tell us the 12 teams week to week. That way, we understand what needs to be done. Do not rank them, because when you rank them and you see them differently, it makes everything look stupid.
Well, that's what NCAA does. So I'm actually surprised.
NCAA has been doing that since the 80s when they had the mythical national championship. And I'm going to make Cole smile with this reference. I referenced the year 1984.
Yeah.
There was a fellow by the name of Robbie Bosco who led Brigham Young University somehow, some way, when no one saw what the hell they were doing each and every week, save the scores in the newspaper. And Cole, I make that reference for a reason, because that's what we do, to a national championship. And most of us that were really getting into the game are going, who? Because all the talk was about Robbie Bosco late in the season. I'm talking about November all the way to the end
Mm-hmm.
of the ball day. And of course, it ended on January 1st. To this day, most people that watch the games with me are going, who in the hell is Robbie Bosco?
And he followed Jim McMahon and Steve Young.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. They sure
Yeah.
did.
Number one, get rid of the rankings. Number two, Alabama and ACC, shut up.
But the thing is, I'm not surprised. This is how the NCAA rolls.
Mhm.
I'm actually surprised that they got the playoff bracket correct, because
I'm
I
surprised
expected
they
them
got
to
it correct.
Number three.
botch that.
Number three, the system is flawed.
Yep.
The system is still flawed.
We need to correct it in some form or fashion. One way you can correct it: no automatic buys.
Right.
Automatic bids, yes.
Automatic
No
bids, but no
automatics.
automatic buys.
But if they're going to do it in this style, this 12 is going to have to be up to 16.
They're already going to
Yes.
16.
It's going to have to be. It has to be going to 16.
No, they
It
already
has to.
confirmed it's going to 16 before you even got to the 12 team. It was already confirmed
Yeah.
it was going to 16.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It has to be 16. That's how you get rid of the buys.
No, I'm not saying no. I'm saying don't give automatic buys to conference champions.
No, I get that. I'm saying you
Right.
get rid of the buys altogether by making
You
it a
can get rid of the
16-team
buys,
deal.
but if you're gonna do buys, do the top 4 teams deserving of buys.
Oh, I
Correct.
agree.
Correct.
But you know that won't happen because
Nope.
because the NCAA does not want to hear, well, we won our conference championship. How you going to rank a team that didn't even go to the conference championship be ranked higher, or the team that
Right.
went to the conference championship and didn't win it, like Texas this year?
Mhm.
How the
Simple.
heck would you have them get a bye because they didn't even win their conference championship? You would receive that complaint.
They're gonna complain anyway.
So
There's
that's
no
why
there's no getting rid of complaining.
so that's why I say get rid of buys, period.
Yes.
So you can do that, and guess what? Treat it like college basketball.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Everybody plays the first round game on campus.
Yeah.
Everybody plays the second round game on campus.
And then when
you get to the quarterfinals, that's
the
when you move.
side games. Yeah.
That's when you move to the 4 major bowls. All right, 4 of the 6, rather. The semifinals take the 2 biggest ones, and I think the semifinals should the semifinals rotate between bowls? I don't think so.
They
Well,
have to. They have to because the Rose Bowl is not moving off New Year's Day.
I was going to
Okay.
say, I think how they're going to have to play it, they're going to have to rotate the 6 between probably the quarterfinals
Mhm.
and the semifinals.
Right.
So the Rose Bowl is not trying to move off of New Year's Day.
They won't.
refuse.
True.
They won't.
True.
So yeah, so it's between the rose, the cotton, the orange, the peach. Oh, good Lord! What other bowls?
Orange,
The
Orange Bowl,
Fiesta
Cotton Bowl,
and the
Peach
Sugar
Bowl,
Bowl.
Sugar Bowl, and
the
Rose
Sugar
Bowl.
Bowl.
So it has to rotate between those 6.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 4.
35.
So no, it's 6. So yeah, so 4 of those are conference final, and the other 2 that you don't. And you can rotate those 2, and they can be the semifinals. And of course, you can still have the bidding for the national championship game where it's going to be played.
Mm-hmm. And this year it's in Atlanta.
Yep, it's in Atlanta.
This year it is in Atlanta. They got this one right, putting SMU in and keeping Alabama out.
Mhm.
So you will see Oregon in the Rose Bowl.
Right.
You will see Georgia in the Sugar Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
You will see Boise State in the Fiesta Bowl.
Yep.
And you will see Arizona State in the Peach Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that on purpose, to be honest.
They sure did.
Because Arizona State being in Fiesta Bowl,
home advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
home advantage, and
state. Yeah,
and then they played right down the way from Tempe.
Yeah,
they play at 40 minutes. It's a 40-minute basically walk from Tempe to Glendale.
Right. So I got why they didn't put Arizona State in Fiesta. I got that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just making sure my audience understands. So yeah, they try to make it as neutral as they could.
Right.
while still trying to make sure that those who are fans of the teams that have bias have an opportunity to see that team.
Mm-hmm.
And you didn't want to put Georgia back in Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
No,
Oh yeah,
that's in
no,
their
you couldn't do
backyard.
that.
That's
So
in
yeah,
their backyard.
Yeah, so you wouldn't put them there, but you can put them to Sugar. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. They'd have a little bit of a travel, but not much,
right.
and still, it would still be in their backyard.
Basically,
In a way, it basically would be in their backyard still.
right.
So Boise State would kick off the quarterfinals on December 1st, New Year's Eve. That is at 7:30. And then the other three teams
Year's
will
Day.
be on New Year's Day, starting with the Peach Bowl.
Peach. Mhm.
Yep, that's at noon.
Then the Rose and then the Sugar. That's how
Yeah.
it normally goes.
And we at Snowman Multimedia will help to introduce in a big way Snowman Sportsnet. And we're going to do all 4 of them beginning New Year's Eve. So watch out. We're going to be busy.
All right, so help me out, Playmaker. So I see the Rose, I see the Sugar, I see the Fiesta, I see the Peach. So that means
Orange
The
Bowl, and
cotton-
Cotton Bowl.
so that means the
are
cotton and the
semifinals.
orange, that would be semifinals, right?
That would be the semifinals.
That's what I thought. Okay. So the cotton and the orange are semifinals. Okay. All right.
And this is how it play out. The winner of SMU Penn State will see Boise, Tennessee, Ohio State will see Oregon,
Mhm.
Clemson, Texas will see Arizona State, Indiana, and Notre Dame will see Georgia.
Mhm.
Oh,
And then let's get to the fun part.
this.
Friday, December 20th, 8 p.m. ABC,
That's gonna be
South
interesting.
Bend, Indiana.
Oh,
That's gonna be
gosh.
That's the
interesting game.
7-ranked Fighting Irish.
Mhm.
Will host the surprising team of the year. Well, second surprising team of the year, should I say?
The 10th ranked Indiana Hoosiers.
This to me is the most interesting of the first round games.
Okay.
It is. I agree.
Mhm.
I agree. And yes, we're going to do this one too on December 20th.
Mhm.
We'll be up at 7 with a special hour-long pregame show. And I'd like you gentlemen to join me if you have time.
So we have Kurt Cinetti, who has done a hell of a job with Indiana.
Curtis Rourke. That's
Against
all I got to say. The
Marcus Freeman,
remarkable Rourke.
who
He's
after
done a really
the
good job with Illinois. I mean,
the unexplainable loss that
Northern
Coach Johnson
Illinois.
would never forget that Notre Dame took,
Against
decided to
still
boat
think-
race every single body afterwards.
I
Mhm.
still, unfortunately, and yes, this is the petty coming out of me. I still think Notre Dame should not even be ranked higher
I
than
don't
number
think-
10
I don't think they
because
should
of
be
that
ranked
loss.
either. I don't think they should be ranked either. I
They should
agree.
be. They shouldn't be ranked higher than 10 because of
I
that L in
totally
Northern
agree.
Illinois.
You took an L at home when a 62-yard field goal got swatted back in your face.
Mhm.
Why are you
But-
ranked in the top 5?
But look, I'll salute them. They
boat raced
got off
everybody.
the canvas and they ran the table the rest of the way. So
They ain't just run; they boat
still
raced
lost
everybody.
to North
That includes
Carolina.
Army and Navy.
Yep.
which is true.
Oh, they beat
did.
oh man,
They beat the dogs out of the Army.
they beat the daylights out of Army. They beat them, but they beat the dog snot out of both of them because they hung 51 against Navy.
Well, they did hang 51 on
They
Navy.
They hung 51 in a game that I did. They hung 51 against Navy.
And both
I-
teams was undefeated when they played Notre Dame too.
Yep,
But
absolutely.
I still feel the worst for Purdue because Notre Dame put 65 on
You
them.
know, that was the next game on the schedule.
That was the
Yikes.
first game after that Northern Illinois L. They put 65 on them. I'm like,
65 against Purdue. Matter of fact, that's the second time this year Purdue has allowed 60 plus
60
points
plus
in a game.
points.
Because in the
other?
old Oaken Bucket game, they
Mhm.
allowed Indiana 66
Yeah,
points.
I was going to say, and the other Notre Dame's opponent for
Mhm.
this game,
Yep.
where they were up 52-0, and they still wanted to throw on them.
They still wanted to run. They still wanted
Curtis and they
put-
wanted to send
pile
a
up the
message.
yards. Yep.
That was
they
that
still-
was.
They wanted to pile up the yards.
They wanted to send a message. Don't you
Oh, yeah.
dare respect us.
Oh yeah.
He was talking to the committee, not to Purdue.
No, yeah,
Nope.
there's a
He
community.
was talking to the committee.
Mhm.
He indeed was talking to the committee. Don't
There you
disrespect
go.
us like that.
Mark your calendar. Friday, December 20th, 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Then we turn the calendar to December 21st on a Saturday.
Mhm.
And thanks to the deal between the NBA, ESPN, and Turner Sports,
Turner
with
Sports
Inside
has this.
NBA going to ESPN next year.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, ESPN,
TNT,
or is it strictly ABC?
both.
Both.
Okay. Okay.
And
Think Monday
but
Night Football.
with that
Gotcha.
deal,
Gotcha.
college football games get to come to Turner Sports.
Right.
Yep.
12
Nice trade-off.
p.m. TNT, HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to Happy Valley. The 6th ranked Nittany Lions going against the 11th ranked Mustangs of SMU. Now,
True.
before anybody says anything,
Mhm.
James Franklin, because I know Cole Johnson very well, this is the game you better win for Cole Johnson.
You
This
better
is the
win
one
this
you
game.
must
If
have.
you lose this game to SMU,
Then the statement
And
that I
you
said
need-
earlier the statement I said earlier in this episode, where I said, if you are a team that is ranked 1 to 9 and they play against you, I won't pick you against them. Well, they'll extend to 1 through 20
let me put
if
it
you
another
lose
way.
this game to SMU.
Mhm. Let me put it another way. And Cole Johnson, I love you for this. In simplest terms, James Franklin, if you don't win this game against SMU, this is your showcase game. This is the one that you wanted. This is the one that you begged for since you've been at Penn State. This
and you
is
already
it.
called for a whiteout.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna be a whiteout. It's gonna be a whiteout. This is the one that you wanted for many, many years. And if you don't win this one, and I don't expect you to, James Franklin, you fired.
Trust me, James Franklin, if you don't win this game, I'm going to get a whole bunch of messages from Cole Johnson himself.
You're gonna get a whole bunch of messages from me. The hell with that.
Here it is, fool going again.
You're gonna get a whole bunch of messages from me because James Franklin cannot win the big one.
Losing
I'm calling
on a
it.
big losing on the big stage platform yet again. Look
Oh,
at
he
this.
Cole Johnson would not hesitate to message me. Because James Franklin, you better win this game. You got a home game. Right out.
This is a
SMU.
home game for him. So
This
yeah.
is
And
a
guess what?
home game.
Mhm.
You wanted teams from the south to come on north to play in that weather? Well, you got one coming to you.
Mhm. And coming from Dallas, which
And
it can
coming
get
from
cold. It can get
Mhm.
cold there, but it doesn't get as cold as it would in the middle of Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Sticking with TNT and Max, they got their next game, 4 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Sarkisian, you're going against a team. They got boat race in the opening week by Georgia.
Mhm.
And a team that got upset at home by their arch rival, South Carolina.
South Carolina. Yep.
They are the 12th ranked team. They are the ACC champions.
Mm-hmm.
If the Fighting Dabos, you talking about Cole Johnson messages me if James Franklin loses. If the Fighting Dabos walk into Austin, Texas,
And beat them.
it can be a 1-point victory. It don't matter.
Yep.
right.
If Clemson has one more point than Texas,
That's right.
I might have to give Cole Johnson the show to himself so he can just go off.
If that happens,
You would not want to hear what I have to say.
you know what? If that happens, I'll schedule an interview with Cole Johnson myself. Introduce him, and then just give him the floor and just sit back in this chair and laugh.
You will not want to hear what I have to say.
So
yes,
trust
we
me,
will.
Steve Sarkisian. I'm putting you and all SEC and Longhorn fans on notice.
Mhm.
He's in the
Clemson,
crosshairs.
best believe I will schedule the show as normal, and I will let Cole Johnson go off.
And I will do the same.
And then I will go recap the other games.
Mm-hmm.
And
Because ain't gonna be nowhere else to start but that.
That's the head. That'll be the headline.
Mr. Sarkisian, you better win this game. That's all I'll say. You better win in this episode. You better win this game.
And outside of South Carolina, Clemson don't beat SEC teams.
That's another reason why I say that you better win this game, because if you claim that you're an SEC type of school,
You better prove it.
you better prove it in this game.
You better
Since you didn't prove it in the SEC championship, you better prove it.
You allowed Georgia to escape, Steve
Mhm.
Sarkisian.
Mhm.
You allowed Georgia to escape by the skin of their ass because you had no business, none whatsoever, losing to Georgia, a team that you hung 400 yards of offense on.
And you beat them down to where they had to start. They had to bring in their backup.
Mm-hmm. You took out Carson Beck.
Who was not playing
took
good in the
out
first
Carson
And
place.
he was playing horrible.
Carson Beck was not Carson Beck.
Mm-mm. He wasn't.
Gunnar Stockton
Gonna
took
stop.
care of business.
Oh my gosh.
Gunnar Stockton took care of business. You understand? It took care of business.
And finally, since we're talking about coaches on the hot seat, you might as well do a trifecta.
May as well.
At
Go with
the
it.
Horseshoe, on the 21st, that is 8
Ryan
p.m.
Day.
8 p.m. ABC, ESPN, not 4 p.m. 8 p.m. That
And to-
nightcap at the Horseshoe,
And
number
to me-
8 versus number 9.
And to me, this is the spotlight game of the week because of what you just said. Ryan
Cole.
Day, come on down. Yes, sir.
You want to join me?
Let me see. Next Saturday, 4 p.m.
You want to join me?
At 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Not 4.
Oh,
8.
okay.
That's 8. Yeah, that's an 8
Eight.
p.m.
This is the nightcap. This is the nightcap. This is the
Okay, sorry.
closing game.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I can, but I'll see. But yeah,
Because
this is a
Ryan
spotlight
Day?
game.
Ryan Day, this is yours. You, Ryan Day, need to bounce back, and that's putting it mildly. After the embarrassment you suffered against Michigan, allowing them to come into the Horseshoe for the second straight time,
And
beat you,
beat you down.
and hold you to 10 points.
You said it best.
You know how bad it is. People they are expecting the home crowd when this game is set to still boo Ryan Day because of the loss to Michigan.
He should boo him.
And they should.
He should hear 100,000 people boo
And they
him
should.
severely because you know they did this. And I know a couple of Buckeyes fans. You know they, along with him and obviously with his team. And I don't know how this was possible because considering all we have heard all of our lives is Ohio State, their biggest rival is Michigan, and their whole season is ruined when they lose to Michigan. So
Mhm.
my thought was, okay, the way I saw them play in Columbus a few weeks ago, I can't believe I'm saying this
Say
about
it.
an Ohio State team. They overlooked Michigan because they were thinking after they spanked Indiana,
Indiana. Yep.
they were thinking, okay, cool, we good. Now we can avenge that one L that we took in Eugene, and in that in the Big Ten championship, we're gonna get that L back against Oregon.
And the bad part is they had it in their back pocket.
Mhm.
They had the Big Ten championship all
Right
to themselves.
Right there, all they had to do was secure that.
All they had to
secure
do
that
was
W
beat Michigan.
against Michigan at home,
Yep, at home.
and then they would travel
All
to
they
Indy.
had to, that's all they had to do.
And not only and not only did that, they probably would have secured the spot that Texas is in now.
Mm-hmm.
At worst, if they were to lose to Oregon again, they probably would have been the number 5 seed.
And I'll back it up by
At
saying
worst.
this.
At
And
worst,
I'll back it up by saying this. I'm willing to bet you that because of brand recognition, Notre Dame, hello,
Mhm.
they'd have slipped into the top 4. Because of brand recognition alone. Never mind the fact that they played inconsistent football since Oregon.
Yeah, they have been up and down.
They've been inconsistent since Oregon.
So on Saturday night, December 21st at 8 p.m.
It's about Ryan Day. And
it's
look,
about Ryan Day.
and
And
look,
guess
and
what? You remember all that talk that you talked about the SEC? Well, why don't y'all come up here and play in this weather? Well, that Tennessee team right here, that's ranked number 9. They have the 2 things that you need in that type of weather. They have a defense
And a running game.
and they run a game.
and
And
a deadly running game. Just ask Alabama.
and let's not pull punches here. I actually live about 2.5 hours west of where Tennessee is. Now, it may not get as cold as in Columbus in December,
But
it does get cold. In fact, it's actually snowed here last week. So
Yep.
it is not all palm trees and balmy here in
Uh-uh.
December.
I spent time in North Carolina, not far from you, my
And North
friend.
Carolina is the exact same
Same
because you get the exact
way.
same weather. Yeah.
Same.
It ices
same
up and freezes in December here, just like it does in Ohio. So
Mm-hmm.
it
It
isn't
does.
a yeah. So to me, this isn't a this is a Southern team going up to brave the elements up north. No,
Wrong.
no. This is a team that they're accustomed to this type of weather that's in Columbus. And you said it to me. You said it, playmaker. They're armed with the two things that travels.
A defense and a running game.
And Ryan Day, your time is coming, son. You got to
Tick,
pull out these victories here. Otherwise, you're going to be known as the guy that can beat all the little sisters up,
but not.
not the big dogs.
How funny it is. The Big Ten, you got your wish. You
Mm-hmm.
got two teams from the South, one from the actual Southeastern Conference
Right.
coming to your building
Mm-hmm.
in
Uh-huh.
December.
Right.
In December,
In
you got your
December.
wish. Now, will you capitalize on it?
Wow, we're actually saying this about both those teams.
Oh, and
Don't
you know the
let
funny part,
and
Cole?
another thing, and it's
Mhm.
most speaking to Ryan Day. If Tennessee goes up there and beat you, the Big Ten gonna be hyped. Not the Ohio State. I'm talking the Big Ten gonna be highly pissed.
Mm,
They should be. They should be highly pissed, and I think they are highly pissed
they're
even
going
now.
to be, and I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it here. I'm bearing down on the gridiron. I hinted at it this morning. I'm going to say it out loud here. I not only want Tennessee to go to Columbus and spring the upset, I actually expect them to.